Hi, hello, welcome to my review of this new Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City. Wes Anderson has made a lot of movies that are very popular and very beloved both by general people and critics. So after a very long career of movies, he's been coming out with movies that are much more experimental, I would say, because he has obviously this very specific Wes Anderson style that nobody is able to really copy, with very symmetric cinematography, very bright colors and very dry humor and very stale performances, but in a good way. He's been doing that for so long now that he's been continuously getting more and more experimental. With Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs, he has been telling his type of stories and his type of style with stop motion animation. Grand Budapest Hotel, one of his most successful movies, I think. He has been telling a story in a story in a story, I think. In The French Dispatch, he told an anthology, and all of these stories were stories released under this one publisher called The French Dispatch. And this movie, in the same way, is also kind of experimental in the way it presents its story, because this is basically a movie about actors playing actors in a play. The play itself that the movie is about is also called Asteroid City. It's about this city where 5,000 years ago, I think, there was an asteroid who hit the Earth, and now there's a crater, and they kind of made a tourist attraction out of it. And every year there's a science fair, and to the science fair, a lot of people gather around, and then something very weird happens, and that's basically the story of the play. First of all, what I really like about this movie, and what I think every Wes Anderson movie does great, even though it's always basically the same, and he always makes the same tone with his movies, they all have the same feeling. I think it always really works, and his movies are always unique enough to feel different from each other, even though they are so similar in their tone. And this movie is exactly that. It's again this very bright, colorful cinematography with a lot of very symmetric shots, a lot of dolly shots, a lot of pans across the screen, a lot of very dry performances that seem very emotional, about very hurt people inside. I mean, that's basically what Wes Anderson's been doing forever. But it definitely works. And one thing that I really like about how this movie is presented is that it's, again, this city called Asteroid City, and basically the whole environment looks kind of fake in a way, but it really fits because it's, first of all, his stop motion animation style sometimes put into the environment of the city, and also like it really fits because this is supposed to be a play. The background looks very fake because it is a play. It's also trying to feel very realistic. That's why there's also very minimal use of music in this film, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Every few scenes there's Bryan Cranston, who is the narrator basically of the movie, who is narrating behind the scenes stuff of the play, and he's, by the way, he's so hilarious. He gives me the same vibes as Bob Balaban from Moonrise Kingdom, who was also the narrator of that movie. Very dry, and every time he comes back it's kind of even more hilarious every single time because he has just this very grumpy look, and basically he's presenting the whole play, and it's like a DVD behind the scenes thing of the play. It's a very weird structure of the movie, but it kind of works. And it also makes the very weird looking special effects that are sometimes in the movie not as bad, because you feel like it's much more realistic, because it's supposed to feel like they're making the stuff on a stage instead of a movie set. You can kind of believe that the visual effects of that wouldn't be as great, obviously. Now, what is this movie actually about? That was a question I asked myself during the movie and also after the movie, because it's really unfocused in a way, and again, sometimes that works, sometimes it really doesn't. I guess the main storyline of the movie is about Jason Schwartzman and his, I guess, father-in-law, and also about the kids that he has to take care of because someone close to him died, and that's basically the main character of the movie. And he has this relationship with Scarlett Johansson's character. She's an actress, and both of them are kind of very broken people, but they kind of find comfort in each other, which is a very nice part of the movie. I really was also emotionally invested, not just like entertained by it, when the movie was about them two. There's also many subplots and many side characters that are really unimportant, and they really make me question how important they were actually to anything. Like, for example, there's Steve Carell playing the manager of a motel, and Rupert Friend, who just plays a cowboy, I think, in this movie, and both of them kind of always have these scenes where they talk about vending machines and where they talk about how to get land near Asteroid City. The cowboy has also a lot of scenes with Maya Hawke, who plays a teacher of some kids who are also in this town. It's all these kind of side plots that happen in the movie that I don't know how important they are. And here's the thing, I think this movie is about many things and not one specific thing, which makes sense in a way, because I think if you try to interpret what all of these scenes mean for a greater story, maybe you get something out of it. But to me, it's just kind of all of these separate things, and the main thing that this movie is really about is about Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson. So all of the other scenes were mostly entertaining, but not as important. Definitely my favorite subplot was always when Steve Carell was there. And again, the way they always try to give kind of backstory about how this play was made, about the writer of the play, and about how all the actors got involved with it. There are a lot of scenes that take place with these characters, and I really don't know what they mean because they seem like very random. I think if I watch this movie again, maybe they make a little bit more sense in the context of what the play is, because a lot of times they talk about the play, and all of the actors are obviously in the play as well. So it's just kind of a lot of random scenes that are sprinkled out through the movie, taking place while the play itself is played out. So it's really difficult to understand for me. On the first watch, it didn't really make a lot of sense to me, and it was kind of hard for me to follow, especially because there was a lot less music in comparison to other Wes Anderson movies, which I already said. I think that's why I kind of got bored with a lot of scenes, because they really feel empty. In movies like The Grand Budapest Hotel or Isle of Dogs, there were stories that were taking place, and while that was happening, the score was always kind of keeping the pace of the story, which I just enjoyed a lot. But in this one, it's kind of more scattered, and so in many scenes, there was something missing. It really just felt kind of empty. Looking at two characters staring at each other is more entertaining in other Wes Anderson movies than in this one. And maybe that would get better on a rewatch again if I understood more what this movie was really about. But for a first watch, I don't think they really were entertaining. But honestly, the fact that this movie made me consider that I would want to rewatch it again definitely means something. I did enjoy it. There was a lot of great humor about it. It again has the normal qualities of a Wes Anderson movie that I simply always enjoy, and that kind of make his movies. It's just that it was kind of difficult to figure out if a lot of scenes are actually important or if they are just there for laughs, and Wes Anderson didn't mean anything with it. But for a first watch, I'm still very happy with it. I would give this movie a 7 out of 10. It's fun. It's definitely something interesting. It's something experimental, much more than his other movies up to this point are. And I would like to rewatch it, definitely. Yeah, thank you for watching, and see you next time.